edition of Story Tonic. Here we have a Masiha for people with disabilities, a change maker, Dr. Shruti Mahapatra, with us today.
Thank you, Prachi. Thank you so much for inviting to this lovely program you have initiated.
Thank you, ma'am. So as we know, storytelling is what we are. And stories what have been told during the formative years of a child has a lasting effect. What do you have to say about this, ma'am?
Absolutely. I believe in that because we all siblings grew up listening to stories from my Jejema, my grandmother, and my Ai, my mother's mother, and my father, who was indeed a master storyteller. And most of this, our knowledge of mythology, whether it's Mahabharata or it's Ramayana, it all came from these lovely stories that we heard in our childhood. And of course, a lot of stories with moral values also. And each one of them has left a lasting impression.
Life has its own twists and turns and ups and downs. What do you think how stories can help a person to deal with all the obstacles, to deal with grief, any disappointment?
Every evening we had a routine. So we would, wherever we stayed, there was always a courtyard. So we would sit in the evening after the evening prayers and 1 hour of doing some studies, and we would all come there, sit, and my father would tell stories. One story which he told many a times, and every time, it doesn't matter which age we were, we ended up crying, was a Russian story, Eric. You know, Eric and his master, they always had to travel a long distance in the jungle before they reached their business place, finished their work in the evening, returned home. One day the work got very delayed, and as they were returning and evening has started growing in, it was getting darker, they heard a sound, and he used to make those very, bone-chilling, spine-chilling sounds like, ooh. Then he would say it was a pack of wolves. So Eric said, Master, a pack of wolves has started following us. So what I'm going to do is when they come close, I will let loose of one of the horses. So he let loose, and then as hitting the horses like anything, the horses were flying. And every time the pack of wolves, suddenly they could hear, ooh. And they knew that the pack of wolves was very close. They were just about to reach the village when there were only one horse left. He said, Master, now you have to take the reins of this horse, and after you reach, with a few people, come back to search for me. Saying that, before his master could realize, he hit the horse hard and he jumped off the cart. And when the master could not do anything because the horse had got so used to flying after this, when the, what do they call that, when that thing landed on its thing, that it flew. And then when he got hold of other people, came back, all that they found was some remains of his clothes. The wolves had carried him away. And I think all brothers and sisters, we are so much impacted with this. We always remembered service above self.
Do you think that in nowadays children have that luxury of listening stories, at least from their parents, maybe grandparents?
I really don't like children getting addicted to either that. They're switching, it's like a cycle. Television, computer screen, phone. Television, computer screen. So where is the human touch? This change can come about, this bonding with grandparents, learning of our rich cultural heritage, learning of the amazing stories that we have in our culture. At one point of time, we had the best university, Nalanda. Parents set up a strict guideline routine in the school.
So how can a story actually boost and make a person stay positive or motivate to rediscover the purpose of life?
I was a completely outdoors person, playing basketball, spending time in the garden, reading books, traveling. Suddenly the accident left me in a wheelchair, completely homebound. So for me, this adjustment from complete independence to complete dependence where you are dependent on another person even to change your undergarments. So this change was really difficult for me. But then I read a book called Joni Erickson, who had even a higher disability than mine. I mean, at least I can move my hands, I can do some activities. All that she could do was just move her head, her neck. But in that book, she has portrayed how it is important to savor what we have. Then I read another life, Take My Hands. That was by Dr. Helen Keller, who became completely paralyzed when she was only a second-year student. But she did not give up.
Here, I'm coming to specifically the field where you have been working with more than 2 decades. So you are working for children with disabilities. How do you think the stories or storytelling boosts their confidence and enhance their personality?
When you see a child with disability, just see the child. A child of 9, what he or she wants, a child of 9 with disability wants. Positive stories always give a positive reinforcement. One beautiful thing about your stories is you put a little background and you make a lot of movements with your hand. You change the tone of your voice and expressions. Those are beautiful things. They will help any person with disability. Storytelling is storytelling and every child enjoys it.
Lockdown and COVID-19, many people have gone down to depression. Many people have lost their jobs. How do you think this narrative therapy can help them?
When you are in a situation which is out of your control, either you have the strength to bring about a change. When you don't have the strength or when you don't have the means to change it, the whole world is now grappling with a very new situation. There is no point in feeling depressed or lonely, because we must remember one thing: human beings are a resilient species.
What prepares a child to be a good citizen?
What children become is what kind of environment was given to them by their children. Life and livelihood are completely different things. Life is from our birth to our death. Livelihood is only for a very short time in our life. But from the minute the child learns ABCD, what we start telling the child: will you be a doctor? Will you be an engineer? Become an IS officer? Instead of that, if we tell the child, be a good human being, be a virtuous human being, be a kind human being, be a compassionate human being, and we teach the child all the small things at home. But the first thing is to become a good human being, to understand that life is much, much more than livelihood.